Boy, oh boy, did Biden open up a can of worms. So, did Joe Biden bring down the national debt to $1.7 trillion, or is that on some bull? China's mounting such a strong attack on the dollar's demand or dollar's dominance that it's actually paying for almost all of its Russian oil imports in the yuan. So the question is, did those sanctions actually help or hurt us? Certainly doesn't look like it helped us out one bit. Joe Biden's screw around remark about the UK sparked significant outrage. And one Warren Buffett ETF that can take you from $3,000 to $1 million. I'm going to share that one with you guys in this video. Kathy Woods buys millions of shares of one soaring tech stock. I'm going to give you guys a hint. You guys can guess down below. Let me know if you guys know what stock this is, but I'm going to give you guys a hint. It is not Amazon stock and it is not Netflix stock. And the Pentagon making race-specific bioweapons to target citizens. Yeah. Can you imagine like the Pentagon making weapons that are actually targeting different races? We're going to get into that one later in this video. If you guys are new to the channel, please do your boy a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and drop a like for this video. That absolutely helps out a ton. All right, guys. So the question is, did Joe Biden actually bring down the national debt by $1.7 trillion? So an online clip showed President Biden saying that he reduced the debt by $1.7 trillion. The national debt has increased by around $3.5 trillion. And this was under the Biden administration, as data from Statista shows currently standing at $31.46 trillion. Year over year, the debt has never decreased since 1957. So not only did he not decrease the national debt, but it has not decreased in the last, 60 years. The $1.7 trillion figure refers to a reduction in the national deficit between fiscal years 2020 and 2022. Now, was this an honest mistake or was he trying to fudge the numbers? I'm going to let you guys decide on that one. The Pentagon making race-specific bioweapons to target citizens. Now, this is according to China. So China is now accusing the United States, as of this week, Wednesday, developing race-specific bioweapons to target specific citizens. So 2 days ago, China's putting this blame out here. Speaking with reporters, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry slammed the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken for saying a day earlier that China is collecting human genomic data against ethnic minorities in Xinjiang and Tibet as an additional form of control and surveillance. Now, seems like China's got a little bit of, there's definitely some control going over there, at least according to what I'm hearing. Now, I don't personally live in China. I'd love to hear from you guys. If any of you have relatives that live in China, maybe if you've ever lived in China yourself, or maybe you're watching from China, let me know if, it just seems like China's under heavy rule over there. Now, if it's not that bad living over there, I'd love to hear from you guys on that one. Now, the ruling Chinese Communist Party has targeted Xi Jinping's Turkic-speaking ethnic minorities, such as the Tibetans and religious believers who remain outside of state control. Blinken said on Tuesday that the United States is concerned by reports of the spread of mass DNA collection to Tibet as an additional form of control and surveillance over the Tibetan population. Quote, "These claims do not hold water and mean nothing except manipulation, manufacturing sensational news items. China is a country governed by law. The privacy of all Chinese citizens, regardless of their ethnic backgrounds, are protected by law." Interesting. Well, I certainly hope that they're not creating any more bioweapons. I mean, we've already dealt with a pandemic, and that's just unbelievably, let's just say it's just not ethical. It's ungodly. It's unholy. I don't want to go there, but to target races, really, guys? 26-year-old is paying $1,157 a month for a 240 square foot studio. Now, I didn't even know that they made apartments that small. Let me ask you guys, how much are you guys paying for rent right now? How much is your mortgage payment? And also, how many square feet is your apartment or your home? Because for a 26-year-old to be paying $1,157 a month for only 240 square feet is ridiculous. I mean, for a 26-year-old girl to spend that much money on an apartment in Seattle is unbelievable. Basically, the open layout of this 26-year-old micro studio is enough to fit her queen size bed and a dresser with space under the bed for storage and a bed for her dog. I didn't even know you'd have enough space to even have a pet. Now, she moved in September 2022 and used to pay $1,550 for the place. Now, her building became income restricted in January, and her rent was reduced in proportion to her earnings, then about $27,000 a year. And that was from her PhD funding and taking on extra grad work. She's now paying $1,157 per month on rent, plus $100 or so for utilities. Now, my question is for you guys: how many of you guys live in rent-controlled areas? And if you do, well, let me ask you this: how many of you guys live in rent-controlled areas, and how many of you don't know if you're living in a rent-controlled area because maybe your rent could be reduced? Let me know if you guys know how to figure that out in the comments down below. Now, last year, she left her job as a teacher outside the Washington, D.C. area where she earned $60,000 per year and paid $800 for a split, $800 to split a townhome with two friends. So she's no longer splitting that townhome. She lives on her own, 240 square feet for nearly $1,200 a month. That just seems a little bit steep, even with this current housing market and the rising rent prices. Now, China is mounting such a strong attack on the dollar's dominance that it's paying for almost all of its Russian oil imports in the yuan. China imported $88 billion worth of major commodities from Russia in 2022, a 52% jump from 2021. Much of the trade was done in the Chinese yuan. Now, remember, United States, President Biden, the Biden administration has placed sanctions on Russia, barring them from essentially, ultimately the whole monetary system using dollars. And now Russia has responded by saying, hey, we'll just do a lot more business with China. We'll do a lot more business with India and all these other countries that are basically not participating in the sanctions. So Russia's actually looking pretty strong here. I feel like the sanctions have, at least up to this point, harmed the United States more than they've hurt us, harmed the United States more than it's harmed Russia. You guys can let me know what you guys are seeing, but ever since the sanctions were placed, we've seen higher gas prices. We've seen a spike in inflation, a spike in groceries, a brief shortage on multiple items. I don't know. I think I'm seeing more pain here than we've inflicted. That's all I'm saying. Now, the country has been using its own currency, the yuan, for almost all of the Russian oil that it bought over the last year. And that's another thing. We're concerned about the United States losing the USD, United States dollar reserve currency status. We have essentially incentivized Russia to strengthen their own currency, move away from the United States dollar, and transact using Chinese yuan. This is just unreal here, folks. Quote, all seaborne Russian oil sales to China are now settled in renminbi since the price cap, sidelining the last small number of banks that were handling US dollars. Wow. Unbelievable. So there you have it, folks. President Biden's screw around remark about the UK sparked significant outrage. So President Biden has been criticized over remarks about hoping that the British government doesn't screw around over the Good Friday Agreement. What? So this offhand remark, which was made by Biden, was speaking at a national committee event in New York on Wednesday about his visit to Northern and the Republic of Ireland to commemorate the 25-year anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. Quote, I got to go back. Not that I had planned on talking about it, but I got to go back to Ireland for the Irish Accords to make sure that they weren't, the Brits didn't screw around and Northern Ireland didn't walk away from their commitments. Well, evidently, this was a joke from President Biden, and it wasn't received very warmly. Evidently, no one laughed. Perhaps a golf clap or two at best. The historic The historic Good Friday Agreement deal, which ended decades of violence in Northern Ireland, known as the Troubles, created a new power sharing agreement in the country, which allowed Northern Ireland to be a part of the United Kingdom. Now, Warren Buffett, he's got evidently there's an ETF from Warren Buffett, or at least somehow affiliated with Warren Buffett, that can take you from $3,736 to $1 million. Now, this sounds really interesting. So Warren Buffett is known as one of the greatest investors of all time, also known as the Oracle of Omaha. He's the CEO, and I don't know if he founded Berkshire Hathaway, but he's certainly the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. And many people seek to know his secrets on investing so that hopefully that they could duplicate his success. And it would be great to learn to invest like Warren Buffett to hit that billionaire status. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't need to be no billionaire. I will be good with a fraction of that amount of wealth, but that's beside the case. So it may be straightforward and easier to rely on an exchange traded fund, also known as an ETF, instead of trying to learn how to invest in stocks like Warren Buffett. Those usually have a mix of different companies that can help make the fund, and it can be bought easily off the stock market and traded if need be. Now, you can buy these ETFs on any of your, favorite stock trading platforms, your Robinhoods, your M1 Finance, Webull, Moomoo, Fidelity, E-Trade, Vanguard, the list goes on. So Warren Buffett's favorite ETF, it's hard to say which one is his favorite. Warren Buffett owns two ETFs. So one is Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, ticker symbol VOO. I actually own that one. I'm invested in that one and have been investing in it for years, actually. And the other one is the Spider's S&P 500 ETF Trust, SPY, ticker symbol SPY. So SPY and VOO both track the S&P 500. They're ETFs, and they hold a collection of the top 500 companies in the United States. It goes on to say that the S&P 500's ETF tracks the S&P 500 index, which allows investors to have an investment that matches the market. And for an investor, these two ETFs can make a good core for your portfolio, or can be the only investment in your portfolio. Warren Buffett believed in these two ETFs so much that in 2008, he bet 5 different hedge funds that the S&P 500 ETF VOO would have a better return in the next 10 years than the hedge fund. Wow. Now you got to remember, these hedge funds are usually saved for the very wealthy and the ultra elite, the accredited investors with net worths of well over $1 million, just to even be considered to be able to be doing business with these hedge funds. And he's saying that this particular ETF, or these two ETFs, which can be purchased by any regular human, any regular American, walking down the street like me and you, we can get in this thing. We can get into these wealth generating ETFs for, without having $1 million net worth. So I think that's a pretty good insight. Thank you to the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett. And it says here that he was right. The ETF had a 126% return over those 10 years, while the hedge funds averaged just 36% in the same period. So it's funny, these hedge funds, they've got such a prestigious connaissance to them. You got to have a net worth of at least $1 million to even do business with them, to be invested in these hedge funds. But at the same time, they're underperforming. And generally speaking, these hedge funds have fairly aggressive and high fees. So it's like, I don't even think I want to be invested in a hedge fund. Anyway, moving on. So Kathy Woods is to buy millions of shares of one soaring tech stock. Now, I gave you guys a hint earlier. I said that it wasn't Amazon stock. I said that it was not Netflix stock. Now, Kathy Wood famously focuses on building wealth by investing in innovative tech stocks. So she's kind of basically got an investment management financial firm that focuses on tech companies. She recently made a huge bet on a software company on the cutting edge of technology. Now, Cathie Wood's ARK Invest bought around $43 million worth of Planeteer technologies on May 10th. This particular acquisition was spread across two of ARK's ETFs. The ARK Innovation ETF snapped up 3.7 million shares, and the ARK Next Generation Internet ETF added 614,000 shares. So, yeah, I think that this is a pretty significant purchase, and Cathie Wood has quite a track record for compounding her money and, putting smiles on investors' faces. Now, this latest investment into the software company that was founded by Peter Thiel in 2003 comes just days after Planeteer beat estimates on its first quarter earnings, reporting revenue of $525 million for the quarter, representing an 18% jump in revenue year over year compared to $506 million that was anticipated by analysts. Well, evidently, Cathie Wood's got some pretty significant confidence in this company. Let me know what you guys think, though. Would you invest in this company? Would you invest in Warren Buffett's favorite ETFs, the ticker symbol VOO for Vanguard's S&P 500 tracking ETF, or perhaps the other ETF, other one of Warren Buffett's favorite ETFs, which was the SPY, also tracking the S&P 500? Keep in mind, these are the types of investments that everyday people like me and you can get into. We can log into our M1 Finance bank accounts and, purchase these stocks, these ETFs. And the cool thing is, there's a lot more investment platforms like M1 Finance. Robinhood, I believe, does it. Trying to think of some of these. Webull, I think Webull might actually offer this too. Fractional shares. So let's just say, okay, you want to get started investing and you're saying to yourself, hey, look, Ron, I don't have that much money. I can't even afford to even start thinking about investing. I can't even begin to think about compounding my money. I don't have the money to do it. Well, the thing I like about some of these online brokers like M1 Finance, for example, is that they allow regular people like me and you to buy fractional shares. So let's just say you're looking at a stock. I think Tesla stock was like $1,000 a share at one point or pretty close to it. Well, Ron, I don't have $1,000 to buy one stock. Well, a lot of people don't have $1,000 to buy one stock. So what do? Well, if you were on M1 Finance or some of these other online brokerages that allow you to use fractional share purchases, that means you can buy a piece of that $1,000 stock. And so now you can still get in the game. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there, put you guys on, make you guys aware of some of these different opportunities that are still available to get started. Because remember, it's all about putting one foot in front of the other and having faith and, and of course, doing your own due diligence, doing your own research. I'm not an investment advisor. I do not invest money for anyone else other than myself. So, I will not stay out of the comments. Basically, watch out for the spam and the scammers in the comments. I do not invest any money for my clients or anything like that. So I just want you guys to be aware that if there's anyone in the comments down below saying anything like that, I'm not a part of it. You're not talking to me. You're talking to some scammer. Anyway, hope you guys got some value out of this video. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you guys were thinking. Subscribe to the channel. Drop a like. And if you really, really want to support the channel, share this video with a friend. I would totally appreciate that. And I'm going to see you guys on the next one.